I recognized him by the way he shuffled along the cracked sidewalk, his shoulders slumped like a man who'd been carrying an invisible boulder for decades. It was a crisp autumn afternoon in Chicago's Loop District, the kind where the wind off Lake Michigan whipped through the skyscrapers, carrying the scent of roasted chestnuts from street vendors and the distant rumble of the L train. I was stepping out of the First National Bank, my briefcase clutched under one arm, filled with spreadsheets and audit reports from my latest freelance gig. At 52, I was piecing together a career that had never quite recovered from the hit it took years ago. That's when I saw him, hunched over a recycling bin outside the towering glass facade of the old firm building, the one where we'd both worked back in the day. My heart stuttered. It couldn't be. But there he was, Elias Krant, my former mentor, the brilliant senior accountant who'd taught me everything about forensic auditing, now reduced to a shadow of himself. His once impeccable suits were replaced by a threadbare coat stained with God knows what, his silver hair matted and unkempt, falling over a face lined with hardship. He was sorting through discarded bottles and cans with gloved hands that trembled slightly, stuffing the aluminum ones into a faded backpack slung over his shoulder. The man who'd once commanded boardrooms with his sharp wit and unerring precision was now invisible to the throngs of suited professionals hurrying past, their eyes glued to phones or averted in discomfort. I froze on the sidewalk, the world narrowing to that single point. Memories flooded back unbidden, the late nights in the office poring over financial statements, his patient explanations of complex derivatives, the way he'd championed my promotion despite the old boys club resisting a young woman like me. And then, the abrupt end. 15 years ago, he'd vanished after blowing the whistle on what seemed like minor accounting discrepancies in a major client's portfolio. The firm spun it as his own misconduct, and he was gone overnight, leaving a trail of chaos. I was demoted, scrutinized, my reputation tarnished by association. Creditors came knocking on debts I didn't know existed, shared accounts drained, my apartment foreclosed. I'd clawed my way back through temp jobs and night classes, but the bitterness lingered like a scar. Now, here he was, a panhandler in the shadow of the very building that had been our kingdom. Shame washed over me, not for him, but for my initial urge to cross the street and pretend I hadn't seen. But something deeper pulled me forward. My heels clicked against the pavement as I approached, the sound echoing unnaturally loud in my ears. He glanced up instinctively, his eyes still that piercing blue meeting mine. Recognition dawned slowly, then shock rippled across his weathered face. His hands froze mid-reach for a crumpled soda can. "Elias?" My voice came out as a whisper, barely audible over the city noise. He straightened slightly, but his posture screamed defeat. "Lara, you shouldn't be here, not seeing me like this." His voice was rough, gravelly from disuse or worse, and he averted his gaze, stuffing the can into his bag with unnecessary force. "Just go, pretend you didn't recognize me." I didn't move. Up close, the toll was even more evident. Sunken cheeks, a beard streaked with gray and dirt, clothes that hung loosely on a frame wasted by malnutrition. Nothing about this man resembled the Elias I'd known, the one who'd hosted barbecues at his lakeside home, who quoted Hemingway during audits, who believed in the integrity of numbers above all. "What happened to you?" I demanded, my voice steadier now, laced with years of unresolved anger. "You disappeared, left me to deal with the fallout. The demotion, the debts, everything crumbled after you left." He shook his head, glancing around as if expecting eavesdroppers in the bustling crowd. "It's better this way. You don't want to know. Please, Lara, walk away." But I couldn't. The abandonment had haunted me for too long. Rage bubbled up, mixed with a pity I hated feeling. "Better? I lost everything because of you. The firm blackballed me, clients vanished. I scrubbed toilets for a year just to eat. And now you're here, begging? Tell me why." His shoulders sagged further. "I did it for you," he murmured, so quietly I almost missed it. The words hit like a punch. For me? What does that even mean? He looked up then, eyes brimming with unshed tears. To save you. From them. Before I could press further, his knees buckled. He collapsed against the bin, clutching his side. Panic surged through me. Elias! I knelt beside him, ignoring the stares of passersby. His face was ashen, breath coming in shallow gasps. I fumbled for my phone and dialed 911, my hands shaking. Help! He's fainted, outside the bank on Wacker Drive. Paramedics arrived in minutes, their sirens cutting through the afternoon din. They loaded him onto a stretcher, checking vitals as I followed, insisting I was family, close enough after all these years. In the ambulance, one of them turned to me. Severe dehydration, possible anemia. He's malnourished, been roughing it for a while. Any history? I shook my head, numb. He is my nuntor. I haven't seen him in 15 years. At Northwestern Memorial Hospital, they rushed him into the ER. I paced the waiting room, the fluorescent lights buzzing overhead like accusations. Hours ticked by. Finally, a doctor emerged. He's stable for now. Exhaustion, malnutrition. Looks like he's been on the streets a long time. You can see him. I entered the room tentatively. Elias lay on the bed, hooked to an IV, looking even smaller under the harsh lights. His eyes fluttered open as I approached. Laura, you shouldn't have stayed. I'm not leaving until you explain, I said, pulling up a chair. What did you mean to save me? He sighed, a ragged sound. It wasn't minor irregularities I whistle blew on. It was the tip of something massive, an insider trading ring involving top executives at the firm and Wall Street bigwigs. They were manipulating stocks, laundering through offshore accounts. When I dug deeper, they threatened me. But then they showed me photos of you, your routine, your home, said if I didn't take the fall, you'd have an accident. My blood ran cold. Me? Why? You were my protege, close enough to be leverage. They framed me for the discrepancies, made it look like I was the crook. I had to disappear, fake my Rowan so they'd believe I'd stay silent. The debts, the drained accounts, that was part of it, to make it convincing. So you wouldn't look for me, so you'd hate me and move on. Tears stung my eyes. All these years, I did hate you, thought you'd betrayed everyone, including me. That was the point, he whispered. Your hate kept you safe. I sat there reeling as the pieces of my shattered life rearranged themselves. The unexplained audits, the sudden hostility from colleagues, the way opportunities dried up. It wasn't just fallout, it was orchestrated. Elias had sacrificed everything, his career, his home, his health, to protect me from shadows I never knew existed. That night, I didn't leave. I dozed in the chair, waking to nurses checking his vitals. In the morning, he was stronger, sipping broth under watchful eyes. You need to go, Laura. They're still out there. If they see us together... Who are they? I pressed. Names, Elias. I deserve that much. He hesitated, then began in a low voice. It started with a client, Harrington Investments. Their CEO, Victor Lang, was the ringleader. Trades based on insider info from senators, tech firms. When I found evidence, Lang's goons cornered me, showed me dossiers on you, your commutes, your sister's family, said one word to the SEC and it'd be a hit and run or worse. I gripped the bed rail. And you just took it? He had no choice. I signed confessions, transferred assets to shell companies. Then I vanished, lived off-grid, odd jobs, eventually the streets when money ran out, refused shelters to stay hidden. Anger flared anew, not at him, but at the faceless men who'd puppeteered our lives. We can't let them win. There must be proof. His eyes widened. There is. Before I left, I hid digital records, flash drives with transaction logs, emails, wire transfers, in a safe deposit box at a small bank in Evanston, keys buried in my old storage unit under a false name. My pulse quickened. Then we get it. Expose them. It's suicide, he warned. They're connected. Politicians, lawyers, they've buried others. But I was done being a victim.
"You've carried this alone long enough. Rest. I'll handle it." Leaving the hospital, the Chicago wind felt sharper, every shadow suspect. I took the Metra to Evanston, nerves jangling. The storage unit was a dingy facility off the highway, my hands dirty from digging under a pile of junk until I found the key taped inside an old ledger. At the bank, the box yielded 3 drives, labeled cryptically. Back at my apartment, a cramped one-bedroom in Wrigleyville, I plugged one in. Files upon files, spreadsheets showing rigged trades, emails from Lang to accomplices, even audio clips of meetings. It was a gold mine, implicating not just Harrington, but a web of Wall Street firms, even a couple of congressmen. Excitement mixed with terror. I copied everything to the cloud, encrypted, then returned to Elias. "I have it," I whispered, showing him a printout. His face paled. "Burn it. They're watching." As if on cue, my phone buzzed, an unknown number. "Drop it or relive the past," a voice growled before hanging up. Fear gripped me, but resolve hardened. No, we take this to the feds. Over the next days, Elias's condition stabilized enough for discharge, but he refused to leave without me promising caution. I arranged a safe house through an old colleague, a cabin in Wisconsin Dells, far from prying eyes. We drove there under cover of night, the drives hidden in my bag. En route, he filled in gaps, how he'd monitored me from afar, ensuring the threats stayed dormant by staying broken. At the cabin, we pored over the data. Patterns emerged, millions siphoned, stocks manipulated during the 2008 crash aftermath. Lang's name everywhere, tied to a senator's re-election fund. I contacted a trusted FBI agent I'd met during a fraud seminar years ago. "Anonymous tip," I said, emailing samples. His response? "This is big. Meet me in Chicago tomorrow." The meeting was in a nondescript coffee shop near Union Station. Agent Ramirez, a stern man in his 40s, reviewed the files on a secure laptop. If authentic, this could topple empires, but they'll fight back. Witnesses have disappeared before. I know the risks, but Elias, he's dying from this. Liver failure from years on the streets. Ramirez nodded gravely. "We'll protect you. Raids start soon." Back at the cabin, Elias worsened. Fever spiked, pain racking his body. I rushed him to a local ER where doctors confirmed the diagnosis, end-stage cirrhosis compounded by neglect. Months at best, they said. Guilt clawed at me as I sat by his bed. "Why didn't you fight back sooner?" "For you," he rasped. "Your life, your family, worth more than mine." Tears fell freely. The man I'd resented was a hero in disguise, his fall a shield for my ignorance. News broke the next week. FBI raids on Harrington offices, Lang arrested at his Hamptons estate. Stocks plummeted, headlines screamed insider trading scandal rocks Wall Street. But threats escalated. A brick through my apartment window back home, scrawled note, "Silence or suffer." I moved Elias to a secure facility under FBI watch. As indictments piled up, more names surfaced. Brokers, lawyers, even a judge. The ring was vast, touching Chicago's financial heart. One night, as Elias slept fitfully, I received a call from Ramirez. "We need your testimony. Elias, too, if he can." "He will," I vowed. The hearing was in a federal courthouse downtown, security tight. I took the stand first, voice steady as I recounted the discovery, the threats, Elias's sacrifice. Lang glared from the defense table, his empire crumbling. Elias testified via video, frail but fierce. "I fell so others wouldn't," he said, naming names. The courtroom buzzed. Conviction seemed inevitable, but victory was bittersweet. Elias's health declined rapidly. "Promise you'll rebuild," he whispered during a visit. "Don't let this define you." "I promise," I choked out. He passed quietly that night, monitors beeping their farewell. I mourned alone, the truth his final gift. In the aftermath, reparations came. Settlements from the firm, my name cleared. I started a consultancy for whistleblowers, honoring his legacy. Chicago's streets felt different now, the wind carrying not just chill, but closure. Elias had saved me twice, once in silence, once in truth, and in that I found solace. The wind was biting that October afternoon in Chicago's Loop, the kind that slices through your coat and reminds you why they call it the Windy City. Skyscrapers loomed like silent sentinels, their glass facades reflecting the gray sky and the hurried crowds below. I had just stepped out of the First National Bank building, my briefcase heavy with the latest batch of audit reports from a freelance job that barely paid the bills. At 52, I was still scraping by, a far cry from the promising career I'd once had. The demotion 15 years ago had been the start of a downward spiral. Lost clients, mounting debts, a reputation tarnished by association with a scandal I never fully understood. But I pushed on, one foot in front of the other, just like always. That's when I saw him. He was hunched over a blue recycling bin on the corner of Wacker Drive and Clark Street, right outside the gleaming tower that housed our old firm, Sterling and Associates. His movements were slow, deliberate, as if each one cost him something precious. He dragged his feet, his back curved under an invisible weight, rummaging through the discarded bottles, cans, and papers with hands wrapped in ragged gloves. The sack at his feet was bulging with aluminum, his meager harvest for the day. Something about his silhouette tugged at a memory, deep and buried, but it was the way he tilted his head, that familiar, cautious glance over his shoulder, that made my heart seize. Elias Grant, my mentor, my guide through the labyrinth of corporate accounting, the man who'd taken a green 37-year-old under his wing and taught me how to spot the lies hidden in balance sheets. It couldn't be him, not like this, not begging on the streets like a forgotten soul. But as I drew closer, ignoring the press of pedestrians around me, the truth stared back. His once sharp features were gaunt, cheekbones protruding under a beard matted with grime and streaked with white. His hair, which he'd always kept neatly trimmed, hung in unkempt strands over eyes that had lost their spark. Clothes that might have been donated or scavenged hung loosely on a frame whittled down by hardship. He looked malnourished, defeated, a ghost of the confident executive who'd commanded respect in boardrooms. My feet rooted to the sidewalk, the world blurred. The honk of taxis, the chatter of suits on lunch breaks, the distant wail of an ambulance, all fading into a dull roar. 15 years. That's how long it had been since Elias vanished. One day he was there, exposing what the firm called minor irregularities in a major client's portfolio. The next, he was gone, labeled a whistleblower gone rogue. The fallout was swift and merciless. Investigations pointed fingers at him for embezzlement, accounts were frozen, and I, as his closest colleague, was demoted to junior status. Whispers followed me. She must have known. Clients fled, debts piled up from joint projects I'd co-signed, and my life unraveled. I'd gone from a cozy condo in Lincoln Park to a cramped studio in a sketchy part of Uptown, working odd jobs, waitressing, data entry, even cleaning offices at night to survive. Rage had sustained me at first, then contempt, and finally a hollow sadness that never quite lifted.
And now, fate had dumped him back into my path, reduced to this, a can collector, invisible to the city that once revered him. Shame burned in my chest, not just for his state, but for the part of me that wanted to turn away, to let the past stay buried. But a stronger force propelled me forward. My heels echoed sharply on the pavement as I crossed the last few feet. He sensed the approach, lifting his head instinctively. Our eyes locked. For a split second, confusion clouded his gaze, then recognition hit like a storm. His hands trembled, dropping a crushed can that clattered to the ground. "Laura?" His voice was a rasp, roughened by years of exposure or neglect. "No, you can't be here, not now." I swallowed hard, my throat tight. "Elias? Is that really you?" He backed up a step, as if I were a specter come to haunt him, his sack dragged behind him, cans rattling softly.
You shouldn't see me like this. Forget you saw anything. Go back to your life." But I couldn't. The words tumbled out, laced with the bitterness I'd carried for so long. My life? The one you destroyed when you disappeared? You left without a word, Elias. The firm crucified you in absentia, and I got caught in the crossfire. Demoted, blacklisted, buried in debts I didn't even know existed. I hated you for years, thought you'd run off with some ill-gotten gains or just cracked under pressure. And now, this? He lowered his eyes, ashamed, fingers twisting the edge of his coat. "It's for the best. Please, just walk away." The plea only fueled my fire. I stepped closer, ignoring the curious glances from passers-by. Up close, the details were heartbreaking. Cracked lips, dirt under his nails, the faint smell of unwashed clothes and street grime. Nothing remained of the man who'd worn tailored suits, who quoted financial theorems like poetry, who dreamed of exposing corporate fraud to make the world fairer. "Tell me why," I demanded, my voice trembling despite myself. "After everything, I deserve to know why you're living like this." He glanced around again, paranoia etching deeper lines into his face. The wind whipped a stray newspaper against his leg, but he didn't flinch. "You were never supposed to find out. I made sure of that. But if you insist..." He trailed off, then met my gaze with eyes full of regret. "It was to save you." The words hung in the air like a thunderclap. My legs weakened. I grabbed the edge of the bin for support. Save me? From what? Elias swayed slightly, his color draining. Before he could answer, his eyes rolled back and he collapsed onto the cold pavement, body limp as an old rag. Panic surged through me. "Elias!" I knelt beside him, checking for a pulse. Faint, but there. People gathered, murmuring. "Call 911, I shouted to a young man in a business suit. He fumbled for his phone while I cradled Elias's head in my lap, just as I had once during a late-night office flu episode, back when we were allies against the world. The ambulance arrived quickly, paramedics efficient in their urgency. "Dehydrated, malnourished," one said as they loaded him in. "Possible anemia. You family?" "Close enough," I replied, climbing in beside him. The ride to Northwestern Memorial was a blur of sirens and IV lines. In the ER, they whisked him away, leaving me in a sterile waiting room with outdated magazines and the acrid scent of disinfectant. Memories assaulted me. Our first meeting at Sterling, him assigning me to a high-profile audit, praising my keen eye for discrepancies. The barbecues at his house in Oak Park, where he'd share stories of his early days fighting fraud in the 80s. The arguments, too, his insistence on integrity clashing with the firm's push for profits. And then the whistleblowing. He'd uncovered padded expenses in Harrington Investments books, a big client, reported it internally. Next thing, he was gone, the firm claiming he'd fabricated it all to cover his own tracks. Hours later, a doctor approached. "He's stable. Chronic malnutrition, exposure. He's been roughing it for years. No ID, refuses to give details. You can see him." I entered the room quietly. Elias lay under thin blankets, an IV dripping fluids into his arm. His eyes opened as I sat. "Laura, you didn't have to stay." "Yes, I did." I leaned forward. "What did you mean, to save me?" He closed his eyes briefly, as if gathering strength. "The irregularities I blew the whistle on? They weren't minor. It was the surface of a massive insider trading ring. Harrington's CEO, Victor Lang, was at the center, trading on non-public info from tech firms, senators, even foreign banks. Millions laundered through shells. When I dug deeper, they threatened me, but that wasn't enough. They showed me surveillance on you, your routes to work, your sister's house in the suburbs, said if I went to the authorities, you'd pay. An accident, car crash, mugging. I had to take the fall, make it look like I was the guilty one, disappear so they'd leave you alone." The room spun. "Me? Why drag me into it?" You were my right hand. They knew hurting you would break me. So I signed false confessions, drained accounts to sell the story of my embezzlement, let the firm paint me as the villain. Then I vanished. Odd jobs, shelters, streets when money ran out. Your hate, it kept you safe. If you'd searched for me, they'd know the deal wasn't holding. Tears blurred my vision. All those years of resentment, the nights I'd cursed his name while scrubbing floors or dodging creditors, it was a lie he'd crafted to protect me. I don't know what to say. Say nothing, just live your life. But I couldn't. The revelation ignited something fierce. We can't let them get away with this. There must be evidence. He shook his head weakly. Too dangerous. They're powerful. Lang has connections in D.C., Wall Street. They've silenced others. I don't care. You've suffered enough alone. He hesitated, then whispered, Before I left, I hid digital records, flash drives with emails, trade logs, wire transfers, in a safe deposit box at Evanston Trust Bank, keys in my old storage unit in Skokie, Unit 47, buried under the floorboard in the back. My mind raced. I'll get it. No, Laura. Yes, I squeezed his hand. Rest. This time you're not alone.
Leaving the hospital, the city felt hostile. Every shadow a watcher, every car a threat. I took the L to Skokie, the train rattling through the dusk. The storage facility was dimly lit, the air musty. Unit 47 was cluttered with boxes of old ledgers and furniture, remnants of his old life. I pried up the floorboard with a crowbar from a nearby shelf, fingers scraping wood until I found a small tin box. Inside, the key and a note. If found, burn, for her safety. At the bank the next morning, the box held 3 drives and printed summaries. Back in my apartment, I plugged one in on my laptop, heart pounding. Files unfolded, spreadsheets of illicit trades timed to earnings reports, emails from Lang to accomplices like secure the senator's tip, trade before close, audio of meetings discussing eliminating loose ends. It implicated a Webb, Harrington, 2 Wall Street banks, even a congressman from Illinois. Exhilaration mixed with dread. I copied everything, hid backups. Returning to Elias, I showed him a sample printout. This could bring them down. His eyes filled with fear. They'll kill to keep it buried. As if summoned, my phone rang. Unknown caller. Back off, or the past repeats, a muffled voice said. Click. Terror gripped me, but so did determination. We need help, the FBI. Elias nodded reluctantly. Agent Ramirez, I met him once at a conference, trustworthy. I emailed anonymous samples that night. Ramirez responded quickly. Meet tomorrow, this is explosive. The coffee shop meeting was tense, steam rising from untouched cups. Ramirez, mid-40s with a no-nonsense stare, reviewed the files. Authentic? This could trigger raids, indictments, but they'll fight dirty. You ready for that? For Elias? Yes. Back at the hospital, Elias's condition had worsened, fever, pain. Doctors mentioned liver issues from years of abuse. As I sat by his bed, holding his hand, I whispered, We're fighting back. He smiled faintly. Be careful, they're already moving. That night, strange cars lingered outside my building, shadows in the alley. The game had begun. Over the next weeks, we hunkered down. I arranged for Elias's transfer to a private room under alias, FBI providing discreet security. Ramirez built the case, verifying data against market records. Patterns emerged, trades netting hundreds of millions tied to insider leaks from boardrooms in Capitol Hill. Lang's name was everywhere, but so were others, executives at rival firms, a lobbyist with White House access. Threats escalated, a slashed tire on my car, anonymous emails, forget or forfeit. One night, a man followed me from the hospital to the L station. I lost him in the crowd, heart hammering. Elias shared more in fragments, voice weakening. Lang cornered me in the parking garage, showed photos of you at your niece's birthday, said one word and she's gone. I had no choice. Guilt twisted in me.
All this time I blamed you. That's what kept you alive. We pored over the drives together when he had strength, cross-referencing with public records. One file revealed a cleanup list, names of potential whistleblowers, some marked handled, with dates matching mysterious deaths or disappearances. Ramirez called with updates. Raids planned for next week. Harrington's offices, Lang's home, but we need your testimonies to seal it.
Elias nodded from his bed. I'll do it. But his health deteriorated. Jaundice set in, painkillers barely touching the agony. Doctors confirmed. Cirrhosis, advanced. Months, maybe less. I spent nights by his side, memories flooding. Our triumphs, uncovering a tax evasion scheme that saved a client millions legally. His laughter at my bad jokes. The day he vanished, leaving a cryptic email. Forgive me, it's for the best. Now I understood. The first raid hit the news. FBI storms Harrington Tower. Stocks tanked. Lang issued denials, but cracks showed. That night, as Elias slept fitfully, a nurse whispered, "Strange men asking about him earlier. Be careful." The shadows were closing in, but so was justice.